almost insinuating that you are God yourself. Anybody who says, I do not need a guru, is either Shiva himself or an idiot. Whatever we are seeing existence is a manifestation. It is not creation. If you have not done your Purushar, then even if God stands in front of you, nothing will happen. God and Guru are irrelevant on your spiritual journey. When spirituality starts, where belief ends.
Desh Kapoor explores the world outside and the one inside in his detailed and insightful weekly newsletter at Drishtikone.com. He loves analyzing geopolitical issues and also loves diving deep into his being on a spiritual journey in his writings. His newsletter is read by leading think tanks, industrialists, thinkers, politicians in US and in India, and by movie makers. Honored to have with me today, Desh Kapoor on Chai Convos with Namrata. Welcome, Desh Bhai. Honored to have you here with me.
Thank you so much, Namrata ji.
I'm grateful that I'm getting to sit here with you and I'm going to be able to share your insight with our audience.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's an honor to be here.
The only little problem is I don't know where to start. Usually I do prep a little bit when I'm having a guest just to see कि कौन से topic पे हम बात करेंगे. So for our episode today, I was online reading your magazine, Drishtikone.com, and I am deeply humbled by your profound understanding of such wide variety of topics. You have written so much and about so many different things. Geopolitical issues, politics, international politics. You have talked about that. Religion, spirituality, ancient Indian history, temples, deity, gurus, ganas.
Yeah.
But so that is what I mean, that it was very confusing for me. What topic do I discuss with you today?
Right.
But I guess it's a good thing, but very impressive. So let's do this. Let's start from your magazine, Drishtikone.
Right.
वहाँ से शुरू करते हैं.
ठीक है.
So Drishtikone means insight, perspective. Okay. और हिंदी में नजरिया.
Yeah, Urdu में.
Urdu में नजरिया.
Right.
What would be a Hindi for
Drishtikone?
Oh, Hindi is Drishtikone. Drishtikone, nazariya, and a perspective.
Right.
So how did you come up with the name? It's a very unique name.
Thank you so much. Actually, so I had started writing on, I started using deshkapoor.com.
Okay.
A long back. And the reason why I started blogging in the first place was because I read this news article in one of the Indian newspapers, which is called the 1984 incidents as Hindu-Sikh riots. And I was there at that time. I was there in Delhi. I know exactly what happened. And I said to myself, well, that was not, no Hindu went out to kill a Sikh that day. It was a political massacre of one community. So I said, if things can be so twisted, things which happened right in front of me, imagine what they would have done about the history of India. So I said, at least for my coming generations, I want to write a perspective which is different from what the other people have been writing. So when I started writing, initially it was just okay. And फिर मेरे को लगा कुछ अलग नाम होना चाहिए, not with my name, because I just wanted to take me outside,
right.
Like out of the whole equation.
Yeah.
So I was looking and, this word came up and I thought this was just a perfect word, Drishtikone.
That's very,
So I looked and I got the domain name as well. And that's how I started writing on that.
Interesting. Did you always write even as a kid?
I never, I used to write more in Hindi. I used to write poems, but not articles. In fact, मैं मजाक करता हूँ लोगों से कि इंग्लिश कॉम्पोजिशन में अगर मेरा बी भी आ जाता था तो मैं सोचता बहुत अच्छा काम कर लेता.
And look at this now, so many articles.
Yeah, I think it's more about passion about what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like with this, initially I was like, whenever I was writing, when my spiritual contemplation journey started off around 2003, 2004, that's when I was writing about the spiritual topics and at least some of those topics. Initially, it was very amateur. Slowly, thoda usko परिपक्व होता गया. And then, so then I started looking at history and about what was happening in the world. So there's a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, who asks, "Okay, how do you equate, or how do you, like put spirituality and politics together?"
Yeah.
So मेरा
It's a very interesting
मेरा उसको
question.
ये
Yeah.
आंसर था
Uh-huh.
कि if I'm not even straight about what is happening right in front of me, how can I ever be straight about what is happening within me? Because for me, spirituality is not about uh, doing good, very looking very calm. It is about knowing the truth. It is a journey for the truth. When spirituality starts, where belief ends. So when you stop believing
say that again.
things,
Spirituality starts.
where belief ends.
Okay.
Because when you have stopped believing in something, and you say, okay, I do not want to take the crutch of belief anymore, because I want to know the truth in its raw, naked, and absolute primordial form. That's when the journey to spirituality starts. Because until then, if you're just making up stories to yourself, कि ये मैं ये मान लूं या वो मान लूं, until then you're not really searching for truth. You are just searching for a make believe answer. See, like it is like you don't have to believe in the sun. Sun is out there. For people who, suppose a person who was born and raised in a cave, and there were a whole population there, maybe they would have sun believers and sun non-believers. But if you take them out and show them the sun, there is nothing to believe in sun. Like it is there, right? So it is like that. So once you have seen the truth, then you do not need to believe in anything. And I think that is that is how I wanted to see it. So I do not want to believe in anything that the media says, this media or that media. I want to do my own analysis. So that is why one of the things I've done in the last so many past years is I've stopped watching TV. I've stopped reading newspapers. I don't read newspapers. I don't watch TV. I do my own analysis of any incident that happens. So when you look at my articles or newsletters now, you will see that they are very detailed.
They are very detailed. Yeah.
They have all the evidence.
Yes.
But they have my own perspective, which is my own perspective.
Yeah. Okay.
So and because that is a take that I want to look at things in the way I can see very clearly. So that is the reason why I do that. So.
And how long have you been writing? When did you start? I know you mentioned 84. So that was, I guess, that's when you got inspired and you started thinking.
Actually, it started around 2004.
Okay.
So it was 2004 when I'd read that article. And then, that was a time when I was starting my own contemplation. I used to be in consulting. So I used to travel a lot. I used to, go from, where I was to the client site, 4 hours, flight back and forth, Monday, Thursday. That was a common thing. So I started at that time to read, to listen, to contemplate on different things, different topics. So that's how the journey started. And for a long time, I would get lost in my journey. I would not find the right answers. And then I would look for the right answers, and it would take sometimes months, sometimes years to get the right answer for myself.
And how did you find the right answer?
Yeah, that's a good thing. Good question that you're asking, because the thing is, when you have a question which is deep inside you, then the answers somehow come up. I'll give you an example. When I was doing this, a contemplation, I like going through this journey. At that time, I realized the Indian spiritual, heritage was so scientific, was so logical, that I was trying to see how and where does it align to the modern scientific thinking. So I was kind of lost and I just could not make my way forward. And I remember I was in Houston at the time when I was doing consulting. For some reason, I flew out of one of the airports. And for some reason, my flight came back at another airport because the flights changed. So I had to go from the Intercontinental to the Hobby Airport.
Okay.
And I found the only person to take me at that time was this African American cabbie, like who was taking me there. And he like was very nice. Like he started talking to me, and we started talking about spirituality. And I told him, I said, that's what I'm like, struggling with right now. And he, told me about this movie called What the Bleep Do We Know? And like to me that day, like when I went back, home, I watched that movie and that pushed me forward a little bit.
What's the movie about?
It's about how the spiritual, things that we talk about and how science are related. So it's a very interesting like work that has been done based on actual experiments that people have done. So I was thinking, I said, what are the odds that you would sit with a cabbie and the cabbie will actually push you forward on your spiritual journey?
Yeah.
And I thought that day I realized that Guru is not a person. Guru is the quality of this universe.
That was one of my questions. Is Guru Purnima tomorrow?
Exactly.
So I did want you to talk about it. So we can just continue. Yeah.
So that day I realized for the first time that Guru is not a person. Guru is actually the quality of this universe. When you have a question, the right, entity comes to you and provides you the answers if you are willing.
So that he is a guru, he or
that
she.
Day, the cabbie actually became my guru. So he became my guru because he led me on my spiritual journey. And then as my questions deepened, there were different people who came to my life. And then there were different, and then I went to my guru now. And like that was again a very like interesting journey because there was this mentor of mine at my consulting firm. He asked me to like go to Sadhguru, who's my guru, like whom like I took the initiation from, and like I used to avoid him like anything for 5 years.
Avoid who?
Avoid Sadhguru.
Really?
Anything that he would say, anything, wherever. Like if I saw him, in some, a website, I won't go there. I would go somewhere else. But it so happened that like there was this person who was carrying my articles and also articles of some other folks like Deepak Chopra on her website. And she was also interviewing Sadhguru there. And I would go there to read, my article and the comments on that. And I would end up reading the interview of Sadhguru. And that happened over weeks after weeks. And meanwhile, my own journey was going on. And then I realized after 5 years that even though I was trying to run away from him, in a way, I was actually running towards
him. Yeah.
So, so it was like very interesting thing that was happening. And I realized after 5 years that although I thought I really understood most of the spiritual topics and areas, at least intellectually, but I was just rearranging my thoughts. I was not going and getting anywhere. I was running on a treadmill. I was not getting anywhere. So I needed something to happen to me in a more profound way to take me further. So that's where I like went for the initiation and then the rest of the journey.
So it is true what they say about a guru, that you don't find the guru finds you.
Like that's what. So the thing is, like it is like somebody was asking me, how do you know that somebody is a true guru or not?
Yeah.
I said, like you can't, and you don't. because it is like saying that I don't even know what a color yellow really looks like. And you are asking me to certify in a house which are the rooms painted yellow. I don't even know what yellow looks like. So how can I even certify? I don't know what enlightenment really looks like. How can I even certify?
That is true.
Like, isn't
So
that the
then,
first thing that I
yeah,
need to clarify within myself at least? Like, at least be straight with yourself, because I just cannot. And I don't know who is or who's not.
Hmm.
See, a lot of people say, well, there are a lot of fake gurus and all that.
There are. That was another question too I had. That yeah, how do you know that you have actually found the real guru?
Like, I think it's more about yourself. And
It is more about
yeah,
ourselves. Yeah.
yeah, the way I look at it is, see, in India, the India's strength is not that we have had a lot of gurus.
Hmm.
India's strength is that we have had populations who have had real deep devotion.
Hmm.
Like, for example, let's take one example. Ram Rahim Baba, who's like everybody knows, like is not a real this thing. If so many Ram Rahim Babas did not have devoted following, or people who showed their devotion to that kind of person, then those people would have also hanged and killed people like Nanak and Buddha. They would have not accepted them. Because after all, in the rest of the world, wasn't Jesus killed? Wasn't Mansoor killed? Because those guys could not be devoted to anyone. The thing is, like, it is like a Silicon Valley of spirituality.
Hmm.
Yes, 95% of the companies will fail, but you will have one Microsoft
Yes.
or one Google
Yes.
that will take you further. So just because we have had people who showed their devotion to Ram Rahim Baba, that is why we could revere, beings like Nanak and Buddha and Ramakrishna Paramahans, who were at times saying things which are against the norm of the day.
Definitely.
Even Adi Shankara, he would go around and debate with so many people and defeat them in those debates. Do you think it was easy for them who were defeated in those debates to take it?
Yeah.
No. But they realized that he was someone who was sharing something, who was showing them something which was far greater than what they had ever seen.
Right.
That is why Adi Shankaracharya became the Adi Shankaracharya. And he did not meet the fate that Mansoor met with. So I think, when I look at it, I just think that if there's any tool, if there's any way, any process by which my devotion for anything, devotion is not to a person, devotion is also not to God. Devotion is just a quality of yourself, of how deep you are willing to give off yourself to something else, to any idea.
That's interesting.
It could be like Sachin Tendulkar would give himself to cricket.
To cricket, yeah.
So it's about the devotion. If I am devoted, if I have devotion, that's all it needs. Even people who have devotion to so-called fake gurus can also they go beyond, as long
Because
as
the
their
devotion
devotion
is
is
there.
strong.
Yeah.
So it is like that. So that's how I look at it.
That's
So
complicated.
yeah, in a way it is, but if I keep it simple, because you don't look at the object of your devotion, you look at your own devotion, your own quality. If you in yourself are established, then the rest of the things will work out. If your devotion is really, really strong and truthful, then the right things will start happening to you. Maybe not in this lifetime, at least some lifetime.
No, you're right. Sadhguru says that too about love, right? That it is, it's not for an object.
Right.
You have to be that yourself. So I think आप वही कह रहे हो कि devotion you have to have it inside
Right.
of a person.
There's a very interesting story in Yog Vashisht. So Yog Vashisht is my go-to, scripture whenever I'm confused about anything. So let me just give you a
Can you
context.
give a little bit detail about Yoga Vashisht?
Yeah, absolutely.
People don't know, yeah.
So when Ram was young,
Mhm.
when he was a teenager, at that time, so the story goes that Vishwamitra ji came and
Mhm.
wanted to take Ram for, because the Rakshasas were, creating problems for him. So there was this conversation that happened between Vishwamitra ji and Dashrath to take Ram. And finally, Vishwamitra ji, looks at Ram. Ram has gone out of the palace, and after going around the kingdom, he has come back, and he's in that, what I would say, a Buddha mode, where he's saying the world is very terrible, and our lives are going away. Anyways, we'll die, and he's kind of like in that depressed kind of state. At that time, Vishwamitra ji asks Vasishtha ji to take him through the spiritual journey and spiritual process. Basically, he has to take him through the process of enlightenment. So there's a conversation that happens between Ram and Vasishtha. That conversation is worth his weight in gold or whatever it is, if you can ever go through it.
Okay.
There's so much of different things that they discuss, so many different areas that they go through. So, so one of the things that Vasishtha tells Ram is, Ram, God and Guru are irrelevant on your spiritual journey. What is relevant?
God and Guru are irrelevant. Okay.
What is relevant is your own purusharth, your own sadhana. If you have not done your sadhana, if you have not done your purusharth, then even if God stands in front of you, nothing will happen to you.
And when you say your sadhana, what do you mean by that?
It means your, whatever your spiritual practice is.
Okay.
Like if you are, say, like if someone was following the Gauri way, then they would have their own sadhana.
Okay.
So every path has its own sadhana. So if you are doing whatever, the path you're on, and whatever purusharth you need to do for that, whatever self-effort you need to do, both in terms of looking at yourself and doing the right kind of sadhana, then you do that, right? So he said, and then he says, if God and Guru could indeed enlighten someone, then they could have done it to the bulls and
to everybody,
the cows as well. And then when I looked at it, I said, that seems true, because in Mahabharata, at least 100,000 people, if not more, I think more, would have shot arrows at Krishna himself, because every arrow shot at Arjun was first going towards Krishna.
Through Krishna, yeah.
So I asked myself, I said, okay, how do I know that if I had been during the time of Mahabharata, I would not have shot at Krishna? It's a very important question that I asked a lot of people. How do you know that you would not have done what those 100,000 people had done? What do you have? Let me ask this question in a different way. If I'm sitting in, say, an airport, a lounge, and there are 20 or 50 people in that lounge at that time, and if Krishna was there, how would I know? How would I know? What do I have? What kind of insight or vision do I have? What kind of discernment do I have to even know whether Krishna is sitting there or not? I don't know. And that is where sadhana and purusharth comes in, because if you have attained a certain level, then you would understand who is Krishna and who's not Krishna. But I am not there right now. So once he says that, later on in the book, conversation, he says, Prahlad got his enlightenment by the grace of Vishnu. So Ram said, well, you just said something else then, now you're saying something else now. That doesn't square. So he said, Ram, at the level of consciousness that Prahlad was, it is semantics to call him Prahlad or Vishnu. And then Prahlad, there's a dialogue by Prahlad, and Prahlad says something very interesting. He says, you can only get benefit of worshipping Vishnu by being Vishnu yourself. what he was trying to say is that you raise yourself, like you were just saying,
Yeah.
you raise yourself to that level where when you are like worshipping something, like that is why we call it like upasana. Upasana means that upasan, in place of, in the position of. Only when I am at a position where my consciousness is almost the same as a consciousness of, say, Vishnu or Ram or Krishna, can I say that I'm actually worshipping someone. I'm an upasana
Wow.
of someone. Yeah. Like we don't use worship because I think that's a not like good way to explain the way.
No, but
So
I
it's
understand.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm an upasana of, I'm an upasak of Krishna, means I am almost at the same consciousness as Krishna. If I am not there, then I'm just believing in things.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
not there.
And how do we raise ourselves to get there? Is it by sadhana, like you said,
Yeah, I think whatever, like
or is it over lifetimes that a person gets to that level?
the way, I mean, I'm not there, but the way I have understood it
Uh-huh.
is that uh, the more you are invested in the search for truth, the more you do your own self effort of purshat on whatever spiritual path you are. When you have a guru is the one who has seen that path, who has walked that path, who knows how to go there, and then he or she tells you this is the way you walk there. And if you do that, then you will at some point get there. The more you put yourself in it, I believe, or at least I understand it, you will probably one day get there. So, yeah, so that is how I understand it.
This was so. Yeah, that was really a very deep dive into our Guru Purnima kind of episode too. So, should everybody have a guru?
Well, Krishna had one, so did Ram.
Like this day and age, like right now, should we all have a guru?
If you want to be on the spiritual journey, like if you want to
And
enjoy
how do
life,
you find a guru? I think I'm coming back to what we just talked, but like we can just take my example,
right?
and there are a lot of people like me, and because we have talked about it with the friends and families too. So, agar mujhe hi le lo, say I want one, how do I find a guru? I know I have to first bring myself up to that level. I think that's what we talked, right?
Yeah, the way I see it is that like, whatever you are interested in,
Hmm.
however deep you're interested in,
Huh.
like you get someone to give you the answers in that way.
And that is becomes the
So,
guru. Like you had the
right, that
cabbie at the
cabbie thing.
airport.
Right. So if you go on and like it's not that this guru is right or that guru is right, this guru is good or that guru. Like for me, at least for me, it was very clear that I would not have gone to anyone other than Sadhguru. Like I was very clear by the time I finally realized that I wanted to go to a guru, or at least I realized I was not going to get there myself.
Yeah.
Because I met a lot of people who say like I don't need a guru. So I say that anybody who says I do not need a guru is either Shiva himself or an idiot.
I was going to say that you think that's pride. Yeah.
Yeah, because see, the thing is, only one being was Swayambhu himself. That was Shiva. The rest, everyone, whether it was Krishna or Ram or Buddha or anyone else, everyone went through some spiritual journey and practice
Yeah.
and tutelage from someone. So I think, like, if I see that, then if you are serious about that and you devote yourself towards that, one day you'll get the in person, that guru who will come and you can take it further.
Yeah.
And sometimes there are people who want to be close to some guru, like whoever guru it is. I don't think that is even necessary. Because see, the path will be shown to you, and or you will be taken towards a certain path, if you are interested, if that is where you want to go. So I think like it's about how you want to handle it. And like one day the right things will start happening.
Yeah.
And you keep yourself open.
Yeah.
to-
I think that is important,
Right.
as you keep yourself open
Right.
and you
And it
continue.
doesn't matter which, earlier on in our history, we were always told that, like, irrespective of who your guru is, if someone who is worthy of being a guru, of at least someone comes in front of you, you always bow down to him or her.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that in your journey of spiritual truth, here is someone who is connected to the source. So even though that is not your path, but at least you can still get the grace of that source,
Right.
uh, like with you, and that is all that matters. The thing is that it doesn't. People say, well, like कुछ भी चलता है, कुछ भी नहीं चलता.
नहीं, कुछ भी,
क्योंकि
yeah.
see, Mira's path was Mira's path. A Ghori's path is a Ghori's path. Mira cannot do what a Ghori would do. A Ghori would never do what a Mira would do. And, in that way, like even the temples, suppose the temple that Mira had, for her, in that temple, Krishna was there. For a person like me, like if I go there, like I would not see Krishna there. So a devotee's, Mira's path, on Mira's path, you can only be Mira or not be Mira.
Mm.
So they are different. That is why that path is a different way. And the Kriya Yoga is a different
It's a
way.
different
And there are
way,
different versions of that. And then there is Gyan Yoga, which is again different. Like Krishnamurti, I read, like when I started reading him, the first time I got his book, what an idiot. I can't even understand what he's saying. After 3 years, again, I picked up his book. I'm like, this guy is just amazing.
Wow.
But I realized after some time, you cannot follow Krishnamurti. You can either be Krishnamurti or not be Krishnamurti. If you are not Krishnamurti, then Krishnamurti cannot help you, because you will want to follow him because he's such a razor sharp intellect, such a razor sharp being. But you cannot become that.
Yeah.
You are either there or not there. So there is no very step-by-step paths that you get there. So there are different ways that you get there.
So having a guru helps, definitely.
Right, because
That's
that
where
is
we started, yeah.
right, because that is because to even break you out of your limitations, get you on the path, you need someone who has been on that journey and been seen what is out there, to take you through that, because
To guide you. Yeah.
right, to guide you and say that these are the steps that you need to do, or at least there are many stories of how Zen masters, Zen monks used to prepare people, just like there are many stories like they would ask their students to just keep mopping the floor for days on end, and they would think this is a meaningless exercise. Like, it was not meaningless, because it was like about where you are, what you are doing, how you are like investing your entire being into it. Like Vyad Geeta. Vyad Geeta is a very integral part of Mahabharata. And there, that Vyad means hunter or a butcher. So there is this interesting story where there's Yogi is there, and he has done, sadhana for many, many, many years. And suddenly he opens his eyes after many years. And there is a bird sitting on the top of the tree, and it, like defecates on him.
Oops on him. Okay.
Yeah, and it falls on him, and he looks up at the bird, angry, and the bird burns, because he has so much tapas in him. And then he goes out because he feels hungry. He goes out, and there is this household where he knocks and asks for food. And there is this lady inside who says, oh wise man, I'll come to you. I'm tending to my husband right now. He's sick. Give me some time and I'll come out. He keeps waiting, and she takes her time, half an hour. Then he gets a little louder and asks for food. She says, "Just wait, I'm coming because I need to finish something for my husband." Then he starts getting louder and louder, and the lady then says, "I'm not the bird that you can burn me."
Oh, I have goosebumps. Yeah.
So he was shocked. He was like, "How did this lady in the household even know what has happened to me and what I've done?" And she comes out, and then he just falls at her feet and says, "Who are you and what have you? Where did you like do your sadhana and all that part?" She then says tells him that my guru is in Mithila and he's a Vyad. So if you want to go further on in your spiritual journey, you need to go to him. And then he goes all the way to Mithila and then to that Vyad.
That is Vyad Geeta.
And Vyad Geeta came out, whatever that conversation was. And it was like something like that. Again, Vyad was saying that, like it's not about what I am doing, because whatever I am doing is an imprint of my karmas.
Yeah.
But whatever I'm doing with, certain kind of detachment, but also an involvement in a way that, like I can do things right. But my karmas have placed me here. This is where I am. So I can't go and do something else because this is where my karmas have brought me.
How did you know, Desh? I was going to ask you about karma too. Seriously, that's one of I have it written down. That's one of my burning questions that I have is karma. And I did read your article on Drishtikone, and it said, karma is not as you sow, so shall you reap.
Right.
And then Sadhguru says the same thing, that karma is not about rewards and punishment.
Right.
These are just attributes of physical domain.
Right.
So it's interesting that we culminated the whole conversation into karma, because that is another question I have, which we can finish what we're talking right now, but I do want you to explain that basically myths and truths about karma. Because seriously, to me, for longest, karma was rewards and punishment.
Right.
Ki, achhe karam karo, so you're going to get
right. So
good karma, build your karma. And karma has become such a, I guess, I shouldn't say loosely used word. Everybody uses it.
Yeah, I know.
Even chote bacche. What goes around comes around, what goes around comes around. So, tab tak wohi tha, so yeah.
So, see, when I was looking at this whole thing, like initially, like when I started thinking about karma, so I like, okay, like people will say, do good.
Yes.
And I'll say,
and good will happen.
Good will happen. And I was like that's very arrogant of you to say that. And I'll tell you why. Because, see, you can do an action and then there is a result. So is good the qualification or the adjective of your action or the result? It is the adjective of the result, not your action. You are saying, if I do this, something good will happen. You are almost insinuating that you are God yourself. You know exactly what will happen when you do something.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
You can only do an action. You cannot guarantee what will happen. So action is devoid of any qualification and any adjective, any color. It is just action. The result is not in your hand.
I think a lot of people need to understand this.
Right?
This is the cause of pain, I feel, because hum karm karte hain, we do things, and deep down somewhere there is that expectation ki maine acha kiya hai, I have done something so well, something good at some point is going to happen.
See,
and then that doesn't happen, so that results in disappointment.
See, one of the things Vasishti tells Ram, and he tells again and again in very, very strong words, is, Ram, there is no such thing as fate. In fact, he says, anyone around you who even talks about fate.
And who said this?
Vasishti Ji to Ram.
So why are we taught about
Yeah, exactly. For me,
fate
it took me
and
almost 2 years to
destiny.
just go beyond the first 3 chapters, because whatever I had heard or understood about whatever is true of Hinduism was being thrown out of the window. Because, like he says, there is no such thing as fate. In fact, anyone who even talks about divine destiny or fate, do not even talk to him, do not even be around him, because he will take you down the path of
Sishti said this.
which again and again. Not only that, Tulsidas ji says like almost the same thing. Manusmriti says the same thing. Krishna definitely says the same thing. Akarmane vadikarastu. That when he says that your only this thing right is about doing the karma. You have no right to the result, because like if you start getting invested in the result, your action will will not happen correctly. You can only be invested in the action but not in the result. So when you start contemplating or start predicting what the result would be of your action, that's where you lose your way, right? And
Yeah.
and again, we were told that there is no such thing as any divine entity giving you or taking anything away from you. Because our understanding of karma was whatever you are doing, whatever is, like Sadhguru says, whatever happens to you is your own doing, because there is no interventionist God. See, like I'll like try and explain this like little. That so and you shall what you shall reap, that I was saying is not what karma is. And the reason why I was saying this, that actually suggests that like when you're doing something, somebody is giving something to you or taking away something from you. Whatever you sow, somebody will give you like something. I'm saying there is no interventionist God anywhere who is giving anything to you or taking anything from you.
So what is karma then?
So karma is like you do this, and this thing will happen. Like it is like it. Manusmriti explains it very beautifully. Like like there it says that like whatever happens, वो कह रहा है, ऋतुओं के आने पर ऋतुत्व जो उसका क्वालिटी है वो दर्शाई जाती है. ऐसा नहीं है कि कुछ और कहीं से कुछ आता है. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल, जब शरद ऋतु आती है और विंटर व्हेन इट कम्स, देन एट दैट टाइम उसका जो क्वालिटी है, उस winter की quality, at that time that will show up. It's not like somebody is coming and giving something. So like whatever you're doing, some people say, oh, I'm living in Bombay, or I'm living in Delhi, or I'm living in New York, and I have like such and such thing. Well, like you don't know, because karma is happening at so many different levels. Your body, your mind, your like energies, at so many like emotions, so many different levels, and so much of karma is happening around you, in which you are also invested.
Right.
The public karma. So everything impacts you. You are not only your karma, your parents' karmas, your forefathers' karma, your societies, like this thing. The thing is that if you are linked to that, then there was a very interesting experiment done on mice. What they did was they gave an electric shock to some of the mice, and they also gave a whiff of ammonia. And then they did experiments for 7 generations of that mice on both the sides, mother and father. In fact, even when some of the conceptions were in vitro, not the natural ones, the results were the same, which is when after a few, the next generation, if you gave a whiff of ammonia, they would go into a shock, because they would go into that pain kind of a thing, as if they were feeling the shock. So the thing was, whatever action and reaction had happened and in one generation, it was passed on for 7 generations.
So is that what we call generational trauma?
You can say
In a
that,
way,
or you
yeah,
can
like
say
in
it is the
psychology.
karma as well.
Okay, yeah.
Like like that is a memory
Yes.
that is deep inside.
Yes.
In fact, like Sadhguru also says, and that's very true, that there is Kul Devta. The Kul Devta is that some yogis have consecrated those temples in a way for a certain family or certain lineage, that they have that same, whiff of ammonia and that electric shock in a way. And you are saying that if they come and be in that space, then even if you give a lot of ammonia to them, then electric shock would not happen to them. Like something like that. Like I'm just giving a example, but to understand, right? So in that sense, like it is a memory, and it is also in a way, like what happens, because memory is like something that you, not knowing now, but you in some lifetime have done. You are seeing that entire thing, that entire movie play out even now. The thing is, are you still attached to that movie or are you not? When you are on a spiritual path, that is exactly what happens. You try to get away from that memory, that away from that movie, and you say, I will not be dictated by my memories, my parents' memories, society's memories, but I will do every action in the now, like, in that sense. Because that is what happens when people go on the path of sannyas. The first thing that they actually do in many of the groups is that they do the last rites of their parents and their relatives, because they are saying, from today onwards, I am free of them. I am my own being. I am not going to take that burden of that karma and go forward. That is done and in the past. Now I am going as an individual being, because that was a kind of slavery that was happening. So that is how the karma has been looked at, because uh, this thought and this understanding of karma has been repeated so many times by so many different gurus, and this thing that there is no God. And the reason that is different, which I was coming to, was that in the Abrahamic theology and belief system, there is a difference between creator and creation. Creator and creation are two different things. In the dharmic understanding, there is no difference. It is said, Vashishti explains a very beautiful way. He says, this existence is like the waves, and the universal consciousness is like the ocean. You can keep saying waves is different from the ocean. It is not. It is the ocean. It goes up and comes down, but it is the ocean. You can keep on saying that this entire existence is different from the underlying primordial consciousness. It is not. It is the same. That is why, even when we had a word for creation, kriti, we never called it kriti, we called it srishti. Because our rishis knew exactly what it was. Srishti comes from the word srijan, which is manifestation. Whatever we are seeing existence is a manifestation. It is not creation. You understand? So there is a difference but at the level of, when we see nature as matter, at the level of matter, that is why we said Purush and Prakriti. Prakriti is a take on Kriti, but it is a Prakriti as in matter itself, matter and energy. But the underlying primordial, consciousness that there was, inert consciousness, that was Purush. So Purush and Prakriti are two qualities, the yin and yang. But in that sense, but like otherwise, so if you are not different from the underlying consciousness or the God or the creator, whatever you want to call it then, because it is not really creator, then how can someone give you anything or take away anything? But somebody can give you or take away anything if that being is different from you. When you are creation and somebody is,
I see where you're going,
right? When you are two different things, then this give and take can happen. This business will happen. But if you are the same thing, then where is the giving and taking? Because you yourself are making your own path. Like you are it. Tattvamasi, that art thou. So that is how it has always been understood. There's again, like I'll give you another interesting story, which has been used in a different way by, different people. And it is the story of Rani Leela and Goddess Saraswati.
Okay.
In
And who is Rani Leela?
So Rani Leela is like a Rani in Vashisht, Yoga Vashisht.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
In Yoga Vashisht, there is this queen out there called Rani Leela.
Mhm.
And this Rani Leela is sitting, like she's a devotee of Goddess Saraswati, and she's sitting there and, praying to Goddess Saraswati. And suddenly, and her husband has gone for battle, and Goddess Saraswati appears. And she says that they both have a discussion, and Goddess Saraswati says, "You exist in many lokas or many dimensions. Not only just this dimension, you exist in many dimensions. So let me take you to another loka, another dimension where you also exist." So she takes her to another lok or dimension where Rani Leela too is sitting. And she's sitting, and her husband is dead, and his body is lying in front of her. And Rani Leela too looks at Goddess Saraswati and says, "Oh, I'm a devotee of you, and you have appeared." And same thing that Rani Leela one had said. And she says, "My husband has died, and I want to go to all the realms that he is going, but in my physical body." And then Goddess Saraswati says, "Tathastu." So Rani Leela one asks Goddess Saraswati, "You know this is not true. You know this will not happen. Why did you even give that boon to her?"
To the two.
To Rani Leela too.
Huh.
So then Goddess Saraswati says something very interesting. She said, "Who am I to give you or take anything away from you? I am just a deity of intention. Whatever you want, whatever you work for, that is what you get. If the fruit falls from above, you can keep on saying it has fallen from the sky, but it has not. It has fallen from the tree next to you." What she is trying to say is that we can create that difference between us and, say, Goddess Saraswati, but Goddess Saraswati is part of us.
Yeah.
Now we can raise ourselves to that level and get to that place. But if we are not there, then we'll just keep playing games. And we can ask for whatever we want, but we are not going to get that just because we have asked Goddess Saraswati herself. So for me, that was very powerful. That even Goddess Saraswati is saying to, the same thing, that there is no interventionist God anywhere, because there is no such thing as a God different from you.
It is inside you.
Like you are it. Now, like the way they have explained again in like some of the stories is, it's like a pot. There is air within the pot. You break the pot. The air inside and outside is the same. Now you can keep saying that this is different from that. It is not. You are the pot. Whatever consciousness you have inside, you have trapped it in a way. How much you have, how enlarged it is up to us to like get there. But the thing is that in the consciousness that is integral part and inheriting like part of our being, like that is why they say that when somebody would go to Ramana Maharishi and ask something and say like, "I want to ask this," so Ramana Maharishi would ask that person, "First go and find out who's asking this question. Who is the one who is really asking this question?" So when you start asking yourself who is asking this question, then you go on a different path, and then you come to the right kind of question that you need to ask. So,
wow. This was even deeper. आप कितना पढ़ते हो? You read, you have read so much.
You should ask my wife. I don't really read so much.
तो कहाँ से? I mean, all this, you have such deep perspectives and insights on so many topics.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Like I just want to know. Like I just want to know about different things. So in this way, when I'm trying to look at, like I said, have that clarity. Whatever is in front of you, look at it just the way it is, rather than creating belief systems around it.
Yeah,
So,
interesting. So since we're talking about spirituality too, I was on your YouTube channel, and one of the videos you had, Ayodhya ke Ram. My goodness, Deshbhai, fascinating, impressive, overwhelming. I almost choked up. The narration that you have, आपने इतने अच्छे से narrate किया है.
Thank you.
The sentiments, the bhav that you have in it, it's wonderful.
Thank
Did
you.
you write it?
I did. Because like when Ram Mandir was being built, at that time when I was looking at it, looking at the whole thing, so like everyone else, I also felt like some connection to the history and all that. And like I really need to go with this. And like I said, I used to write poems in Hindi. So
Yeah.
I sat down that day and I just started writing. Like, most of my writing is like that. You can ask my wife. When I start writing my newsletter, I don't even know what topics I'm going to write on. So I
It just comes to you.
yeah, I just start writing and I start asking questions and it goes on. But in this case, I just let my uh, emotions take me there.
No, it is very, and especially there are these 3-4 lines
Mhm.
मैंने लिखी हुई
हाँ.
है. I would love to say it, but you
Sure.
need to recite, and then I want to know the meaning because it's really deep. You probably know which lines I'm talking about. It is this one: जब भक्ति मृत्यु के भय से आगे निकल जाए, तब एक योगी जन्म लेता है. जब हारने को कुछ रह ही ना जाए, आई लव दिस. जब जीतने का कुछ हो ही ना अब, तब सब मात्र ही उद्देश्य हो, तब भक्त का एक सशक्त रूप
Hmm.
जन्म लेता है.
Right.
This is beautiful.
Thank you. so think of it like this. Like even Gita
This is beautiful. Yeah.
was actually given to Arjun during the war. The most like wonderful example is how Guru Gobind Singh Ji like gave the initiation to the Panch Pyaras or the
Mhm,
5
mhm.
disciples of his. So think of it like that. Like put yourself in their shoes. So when he asked that, I want 5 disciples to sacrifice themselves. So the first person who would get up, his love or his devotion to his guru should be so high that it is beyond the fear of his own death. Only then he will take the first step.
So that is what this is. जब भक्ति मृत्यु के भय से आगे निकल
आगे
जाए,
निकल
तब एक
जाए.
योगी जन्म लेता है.
So that is what I was thinking, that when your bhakti or your devotion is so high, then it goes beyond your fear, because you have, everyone on this planet has that survival instinct.
Yeah.
When your survival instinct is not as important as your devotion, then you, and at that time, you have nothing to lose and nothing to gain.
Yeah.
At that time, the real bhakt is born. So, that time, the real disciple was born. When the first one went in and he came out with the sword with the blood,
Yeah.
and the second one knew what my fate would be and still went in,
That time, yeah.
that time, like the bhakt was born. That is why those 5 disciples of Guru Gobind Singh were considered to be so high. And like that is how it has always been, because even if you like look at how people, the Zen monk stories are very popular of
Mhm.
how like they would just give themselves off completely to them. What aghoris go through, like it is not for the faint hearted. But when your devotion is so high that you just go beyond your own fear,
And then what about जब हारने को कुछ रह ही ना जाए? जब
when there is
जीतने का कुछ
nothing
हो?
to lose, जब कुछ हारने को कुछ है ही नहीं, अब मैं क्या हारूंगा, और क्योंकि
And you have no expectations, so
कुछ
there is
जीतना नहीं
nothing
है,
you have
कुछ
to.
कुछ पाना नहीं है. जैसे you know like I would like every morning I offer that water to the sun,
Sun,
right? So, so somebody once asked me, why would you do that?
Mhm.
Like, are you praying to the sun? And I was like, no, I'm not praying to the sun. I'm just offering my gratitude that there is nothing, here I am alive. Like, isn't that enough? Because, see, without sun, there is no life. So I can say it is a proxy for the God itself. The most precious thing we have is water, because without water, there is again no life. So I am offering the most precious thing I have that I can offer to the God, to the entity which creates life itself. So it is just gratitude.
You do it every day?
Yeah, I do.
So what time do you get up in the morning?
I get up at around 5:30.
So you do it around sunrise.
Yeah,
When it happens, yeah.
once I have showered and all that. So,
And then this line, जब जीतने का कुछ हो ही ना तब सब मात्र के उद्देश्य हो तब भक्त का एक सशक्त रूप. So that is like an elevated
right, like then the real
devotee.
like devotee takes birth. Like then the bhakt really comes out. Because see, the thing is, people try to use this as a pejorative way, right? Andhbhakt. I'm like, bhakt has to be andha.
Yeah.
Because if you have one eye open, and then you are a rascal. Then you are not a devotee.
Yeah.
तुम भक्त हो ही नहीं, तुम धूर्त हो,
Yeah.
राइट? अगर एक आंख खोल के तुम भक्ति कर रहे हो, तो तुम धूर्त हो के मैं इस तरफ भी हूँ, उस तरफ भी हूँ. अगर तुम इस तरफ हो तो इस तरफ रहो, उस तरफ हो तो उस तरफ रहो, तो तुम भक्त हो जाओ. तो जब तक तुम सब कुछ अपना नहीं दोगे, when if you cannot give yourself completely,
Yeah.
then you are not a bhakt. Then you are, a deceiver, like to
Yeah.
your own self and to everybody else.
Yeah. So you've written poems too, you said, right?
Long back.
Any of your favorite ones that you want to recite? Just a couple lines, if you remember.
I don't remember. It was when I was in school.
Okay. नहीं, पर ये तो आपने अभी लिखी है ना,
हाँ, ये अभी
अयोध्या
लिखी.
one.
ये
Yeah.
तो बड़े सालों बाद लिखी, बहुत सालों बाद.
Yeah. How much time did it take you to write this? It's beautiful, the entire thing. It's on your YouTube channel.
Right.
Yeah.
Probably around 15-20 minutes. Like once I started writing, I just kept on writing. Maybe half an hour, something like that. So, like again, it is not like I'm not trying to say I'm just, like very smart at this. It just happened. Because I don't think if you ask me to write it again, I don't think I'll be able to do that. Because that was the time.
Yeah.
The
emotions, the time, everything has to be right. So you have done extensive research on so many topics and so much. If there is one thing that you could teach the entire world, what would that be?
That's a very tough question.
Spirituality में ही ले लेते हैं, because I think it's different depending. अगर say let's take spirituality. अगर एक चीज आप you have to tell people, what would that be in your experience?
One, be joyful, and don't take things very, very seriously. And second, and like this thing is that don't blame anything else other than getting your stuff
I think
right.
that is very important. Yeah.
Right.
Because shifting blame, it changes your perspective also.
Right. There was this a very interesting story I read. Some one of those Zen monks type. So there was a monk who used to be very happy all the time, and very joyful person. And then, like one day, he met a lady, and he fell in love, and they both married. And then they had a kid, a son. He was totally a doting father. He doted on his son, and they would keep on playing all the time, and he would take care of him, love him so much. When that son was 5 years old, he died. And, but he was still joyful. people were asking,
The son died.
your son died.
Oh.
And you're saying, your son just died and you're still happy and joyful. So he said, then he says something interesting. He says, when my son was not there, I was just like this. Then my son came. He gave me so much of love. I gave that love back to him. Whatever I had, I gave it to him. Whatever fatherly love I had in me that I could gather, I gave to him. Now he's gone on his own path and own journey. So why should I be changed in any way? So I'm still the same person that I was before he came into my life. And I have no regrets because I gave everything that I could to him. So, so that was very, and there was a similar story in Yoga Vasishtha also. There are two brothers and their father dies. The elder brother is an enlightened being. The younger brother is not. And when the father dies, the younger brother is howling, crying, sobbing. And the elder brother is just calm, equanimous. So the younger brother feels very hurt. He's like, you don't feel bad that your father died. So he says, over all my lifetimes, I've had so many fathers and mothers. You tell me, for whom should I start crying first? So it is like, like whatever like is only going to be temporary or whatever in the cosmic scheme of things.
Yeah.
And you are not that important. I am not that important. We are really not important.
No.
I mean, so many people came, so many people have done far more than us, and their stuff didn't last very long. Their names didn't last very long. Even if they did, it was because they had done something bad.
Yeah.
So why take yourself seriously?
So be joyful.
Yeah.
That's true. It's important. It's not easy all the time, but yeah, I think that was good. No, this was really some very deep and quite interesting discussion we had. So the last portion of the podcast is rapid fire question.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask you, it's just a word, and I just want you to tell us what is the first thing that comes in your mind.
Okay.
Is it good? Okay.
Sure.
So, and I have read your Ghost Wanderers on Drishtikone. So my very first thing is, do ghosts exist?
If you want to call them ghosts.
What do you mean?
Means that like they are just beings.
Beings, yeah.
Yeah, they're just
So they are there. Yeah. Okay. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Spiritual.
Truth.
Wisdom.
Burden.
Karma.
Memory.
Dharma.
Path.
Religion.
Belief.
Karma or dharma?
Karma.
Dharma or religion?
Dharma.
Yes. Death.
Natural.
Prayers.
Business.
Interesting. Blessings.
I would say blessings. Grace.
Consciousness.
Primordial truth.
Relationships. Any relationship. Are men and women really inherently different? I know what topic to pura आधा घंटा निकल जाएगा. But rapid fire में, are they different?
Like I would say feminine and masculine are different.
Okay. Guru?
Guide.
Who is God to you, Desh bhai?
Consciousness.
Drishtikone?
My own nonsense.
And Desh bhai.
Just curious.
Thank you so much.
You.
This was really wonderful. Had so much, I don't even know what word to use. this was really very enlightening. I think I have a lot more reading to do now. And thank you again for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Namrata.